Hey, what's up guys, Arva here, and welcome back to another F1 23 scenario race this week. And this one is a pretty interesting one actually. Having started from the pit lane, Sergio Perez will need to put in an exceptional performance in order to salvage anything from the Formula 1 Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix 2023. However, his Red Bull team are confident that a podium is possible. Can he prove them right? It's quite funny to me and interesting that they're putting a pit lane start scenario in F1 World this week, and yet you can't actually do a pit lane start in other parts of the F1 game like career mode, where, you know, it would make a lot of sense to actually have that option if you broke Parc Ferme, for example. But either way, anyway, our objective is to then finish in third position or higher, so secure a podium here from this pit lane start. Now, I didn't know how they were going to actually do this pit lane start, and it does honestly feel like a little bit of a letdown and a bit of a shortcut that basically we don't get to see Perez doing this pit lane start, you know, pulling away from the edge of the pit lane onto the circuit, and we get going basically after the first three turns with 5 seconds back from Esteban Ocon. Obviously lines up with a pit lane start because you can only get going once every car, I think the rule is, I believe, has gone past the pit lane line, or might even be the apex for turn 1, and then you can get going. So we've got some ground to make up before we even catch to the back of the pack. Our teammate Verstappen all the way up in first place, already stretching his legs in this very quick Red Bull of ours. So to be fair, that means we have a good chance to get through. We've got 14 laps, one of the longer scenarios we've had on the game so far. 14 laps of racing, a full 25% race to try and get this objective, as we're going to go for the double move on Ocon and Russell, wasting no time at all, because I feel like the whole point of this challenge is to really just get a move on, get a hustle on. You know, they've chosen Perez and Red Bull to do this challenge, so it's the quickest car on the grid, really cut through everyone as quickly as we can. So taking a bit of inspiration from Lando Norris, going all the way on the left-hand side, plenty of curb, going wide and making a double overtake happen. So already one sector down in on lap 2, and we've made 4 overtakes. It'll be 6 by the time we come through to this hairpin, because Carlos Sainz, don't know what on earth he's doing here. Maybe he had issues himself in this hypothetical qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix. I can only imagine what kind of horrendous day Perez had for him to have a pit lane start in this scenario. But Sainz down there in P15, and we've overtaken him pretty easily as he's too busy fighting Logan Sargent in the Williams. But very good progress. 6 positions gained. We've only done half of this lap on lap number 2. Lap 1 was all about actually just bridging that 5-second gap we had. You know, that came from the pit lane start delay, and now looking to size up Kevin Magnussen. He's on the hard tyre, so wanted to really get him out of the way very quickly. We've been put onto the mediums. You can't change your tyre compound. To be fair, this might be the better way to go, because I think the strategy will be medium to soft. So we'll be just using as much as we can right now, knowing that wherever we are, we're going to be even quicker in the second and last stint on the soft compound tyre. But right now, really interesting 3 wide going on between Norris, Tsunoda and Albon. So the AI getting very punchy and racy in this scenario race as we go on the outside of Lando Norris, just taking it a bit patient. You know, there was maybe, you know, a thought to dive it to the inside to try and get 3 of them, but instead took it nice and easy, just got Lando, and now trying to get the move done on Albon and Tsunoda. This is where we can dive down the inside, get to the apex, go a little bit wide, but that actually helps us kind of push across Tsunoda and Albon and get them to step out of the throttle. So it kind of gives us that leeway, and then we can go chasing after Zhou Guanyu, the tail end of this new pack. So ahead of him, Stroll, and then I think one of the Alpine cars, Mercedes, I can see, and an AlphaTauri way up there in the top 5, I think, of De Vries. So we go down the inside of Zhou Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo, again, just wanting to be punchy and get the move, you know, as soon as we can get it done. We're still within 1 second of Stroll as well, so we'll get some DRS off him, and into turn 1 on lap 5, we're watching Gasly and Stroll go side by side. They're going to hold each other up through these 2 turns, as Gasly's going to have to lift to give Stroll some room. Stroll equally had to give him some space into turn 1. Gasly goes for this switch from left to right. These 2 going hammer and tong on different tyre compounds. We're going to creep up behind them and try and see where we can overtake. We're kind of catching in a very awkward position, though, in the S section down the hill into the hairpin. We could try and copycat the move we made on Sainz, but we haven't actually had the exit. Instead, I'm going to thread it through on the inside. Very, very ballsy way to make that overtake, and actually Gasly makes a little bit of contact with me, but I somehow managed to thread that car through the middle of them get both of them. And actually did Joe Granu a favour because he followed me through on the hard tyres and he actually overtook both of them as well. So outstanding stuff. But just checking there's no damage to the car. Thankfully there is not. But yeah, De Vries up in P5 in the AlphaTauri, you know. Clearly whatever happened before this race there at Bahrain, really was a chaotic Saturday qualifying for De Vries to be up there in P5 and not 5 miles back in last place at this point at the start of the 2023 season. But we're going to catch up then to the Dutchman to get up into P5 for the first time. Good progress here, you know, lap 6. I think our pit stop window's lap 8. So, you know, Leclerc's coming in now. I think we already saw Hamilton maybe come in on the lap previously for a bit of an undercut. So as we dive on the inside of the AlphaTauri, you know, Red Bull v AlphaTauri, medium v hard tyre, it's an easy move up into P4. But it will be interesting to see where Leclerc is compared to ourselves. Will we be fighting him for the podium? Will it be Hamilton? Or I think, you know, the other Mercedes have... well, Russell actually was down the order, sorry. So it will just be Hamilton or Leclerc, I think, will be, you know, behind Verstappen for P1. Bottas and Piastri in the Alfa Romeo and McLaren coming into the pits. Verstappen's in the pits now. So, yeah, it literally will be probably Leclerc or Hamilton we're fighting for the podium. You know, I'd hope we'd get Bottas and Piastri pretty easily as we continue on then for one more lap. Technically, I could have maybe, I kind of almost wanted to come in on that lap because my mediums were starting to be a little bit second-hand, but Verstappen coming in, didn't want to do the double stack and lose some time there. So we go on for one more lap. It's not particularly amazing in lap, but I think hopefully we won't get undercut by someone, and hopefully we'll actually gain a little bit on Piastri and Bottas as we're in now for the soft tyres. So even quicker compound now. It's a decent enough pit stop, 2.3. Now let's look to the left-hand side, that bottom left of the mini-map to see where others are going to be. So Leclerc's already got ahead of us by 4 seconds. There's Hamilton. So Hamilton does go through in P3. So if we want third place, we're going to have to go and chase after and overtake Hamilton. But we're coming out side by side with Oscar Piastri and the McLaren only just getting to turn 1's apex in time to get Oscar. But we've jumped Bottas flat out in the pit stop. Ironically, he's actually just overtaken Piastri though. Probably thanks to our squeeze out of turn 1. But effectively, yeah, we just got the double pass done on those two cars. Just with the pure pace of the Red Bull going a little bit longer on the overcut, even on, you know, more worn out mediums. But now we've got 4.3 seconds to gain on Hamilton in 5 laps if we want to get this objective of the podium. Leclerc in second, and I thought Verstappen was in P1, but
Sargent's in first place.
Mark, my engineer, thinks Logan Sargent is leading the race. Very interesting stuff. If that is the case, then my God, this very much has been a very chaotic Bahrain GP scenario. But I think Mark, well, I don't know. I would say he's maybe smoking the good stuff, but you can't get that here in Bahrain. So I don't know what the hell he's on, but he thinks Sargent's in the lead. So there we go. We're going to have to see how it goes once we overtake Hamilton. We'll get an update on the top left on the ladder to see who is actually in first place as we're gaining on Hamilton now. Lap 11, so 2 laps later, we've caught up to him. The pace of the Red Bull shining strong, and also soft versus mediums, interestingly enough. The Mercedes on mediums. Leclerc is on softs like us then, so a few different strategies going on for the AIs. Yellow flags are behind, so someone's going to have retirement soon, but it won't matter. It won't affect us. We're already ahead of that retirement, so whether that was coded into the scenario, I don't know, but we're jockeying for position with Hamilton. We go round the outside of the Mercedes to get up into third place. It's De Vries. He's at the GP. It's probably from a nosebleed being that high up, to be honest, as we climb into the main objective. And, oh, the race leader. The race leader's out, Mark. Oh, you're not going to radio me about that? The race leader being out? Yeah, very, very glitchy radio message. But we're into third place. 10 seconds behind Leclerc. You know, would love to try and say we can catch him when we do actually bridge the gap down to 6.5 seconds. So a couple of more laps in this Grand Prix, and we definitely could have done a pit lane to second place to make it a 1-2 for Red Bull. But instead, we'll just have to settle for the pit lane to the podium, emulating Sebastian Vettel, of course, actually back in his Red Bull days in 2012 when he was in that title fight with Fernando Alonso at Abu Dhabi Yas Marina. Pit lane to podium there for him. For us, maybe a little bit less glamorous at the start of the Bahrain GP at the start of a hypothetical season. But yeah, decent scenario. I'm glad we got the objective as well. And I think I like the fact there's a bit more gameplay about it. You know, 14 laps versus the, what was it, like 5 or 6 for Sao Paulo, a couple of more for Portimao. I like the fact it was a whole race, but as I said, I do maintain it was a little bit of a cop-out. They didn't do any sort of cutscene or, I don't know, even just like an animation or what for Perez actually having the pit lane start. And it's just comical to me that they've got these scenarios of pit lane starts and they just won't put it in the actual other parts of the game for legitimate, realistic reasons in career mode, etc. But a fun scenario nonetheless. If you guys did enjoy it, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you made of this scenario compared to the first two. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll catch you guys around. Goodbye.